What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Happy 2023. We're starting the year strong. I hope you guys are too. I'm very excited to be with you guys. We've got 2023 sunglasses. We got money all over here. It's going to be a phenomenal year. There's plenty of money to go around for everybody. Excited to be here. I want to open the show today. We're going to have a very, very special guest. I'm really excited to have George Cow on here a little bit later. He's an amazing person. He came into my life, 9 months ago or something? Hit me up on Twitter. We've been fast friends ever since. He is a Simplero member. I'm really excited to have him on. He's just a beautiful soul and a really smart business person and marketer. And we're actually going to be doing some more things together. So really excited to have him on. Before that, I want to start with my favorite quote. I have to take these off because I can't see shit with them on. My favorite quote from former president of the United States. His name was Calvin Coolidge. And some of you may know, some of you may not know. He is the reason that my name is Calvin, because it wasn't the name that my parents gave me back then. I went and changed my name at some point, and I picked the name Calvin because of Calvin Coolidge, and because specifically of this quote. I didn't really know anything about the guy at that time, but there was this quote that I'd kept returning to over and over again throughout the years, and it goes like this. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. This quote kept me going for years and years and years when I was struggling, when I was finding my way, finding my path, when I was figuring out who the fuck I was and what I'm here to do and trying to break through into this world. This quote was the one that kept me going when it was tough, and it was tough a lot of the time. I was just thinking, if persistence and determination is good enough for the President of the United States of America, it's good enough for me. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to stay the course, and I'm eventually going to make it work. And I did. And so I just want to share that quote with you because it means so much to me. Another topic, something that I was thinking about yesterday is, I was talking to someone who was like hesitant about signing up for a coaching program and hesitant about like this whole world of like you buy a course or a coaching program and kind of investing in yourself. I just remember myself when back in the day with how scared I was, how skeptical I was. Like, I was like, like this, do I really want to like this $2,000 thing? It's a lot of money. Like, can I afford that? And what if they're scammers? What if they're just like trying to cheat me or like they're not good people or what if I can't use what I'm learning? Or, I had all these worries and fears and skepticism and like looking back, I'm just like, that was such a waste of energy to even be worried. Like there are things that I really, like that I now, when I look back, I'm like, dude, you should just have bought that and gone through it. And I think back in that time, I was constantly looking for that one thing that would solve my problems, right? That one thing would be like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the last thing that I need. I'm like, now I've got everything and I'm going to be good. I'm going to be set. I'm going to be fine. I remember even back in the day, in 2007, I took a coach education, and it was like today it seems like not that much, but back then it was probably a good $6,000, and it just felt like a fortune. It was like a 6-month program. It was a coach education. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to learn so much about like coaching and mindset and all of that. Like, and I'll never ever need to learn anything again. Like now I've learned the thing, right? And then here I am, 16 years later, and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't know shit back then, right? Like I know so much more now, and there is so much to learn, and there's still so much to learn. And I think that's one of the big mindset shifts that I've had, is that it's not one thing, right? It's not like, oh, this thing, and now I'm gonna know everything. It's more like this thing, and like we can only retain so much, right? We hear so much information all the time, whether it's from YouTube or coaching programs or this show or a book that you read, you take all this information in and you only really internalize a small portion of it, and that's fine. So it's more like this program, you learn this thing. This program, you learn another thing. This program, you relearn the thing that you learned back then, but you didn't quite get it the first time. And then maybe you go back and revisit this first thing, and then with new eyes, and then you pick up something new. And that's how it rolls. It's like always stacking on top of each other. So when I was speaking to this person who was skeptical and concerned, I could recognize those fears, and I just was like, man, like if I could speak to that person that I was back then again and just say, hey, dude, it's okay. Like, don't worry so much about it. Don't be so scared about it. Jump in and have this hunger and drive to learn and to master and to really implement the things that you learn, then you'll be fine, right? It's really backing off some of that fear and some of that tension and tightness. If I could give my former self one gift, it would be that. It would be that. Let me know if this is resonating with you guys. All right, I'm seeing a hell yes in the chat. Thank you. Hey, Shweta is texting me something, but you might want to write someone else because I'm busy here. And he says yes. All right, that's great. Yeah, so I just, like everybody who's on that journey, I want to applaud you because I know it is scary, and you probably have family members or friends who are like, you're crazy. Are you spending like, $2,000, $6,000? Like, you're spending this money on this? Like, how do you know this person is not a scammer? These are all people who are, who are afraid and who are like staying small and staying isolated. So just have compassion for that, but you don't need to let that fear control you and stop you, right? So trust in life. I would trust in God or life or some higher power more than necessarily in individuals, right? Every single person's flawed. Every single person I've ever bought a program for, from, or a mastermind or course or book or anything, they're all flawed. Doesn't mean that I can't learn from these people. So I put the trust in a higher power, in God or something, to guide me to the right experiences so I can pick up a thing here and pick up a thing here and pick up a thing here. And it's really about, uncovering layers in myself through mirroring through the people that I'm learning from. And that pulls out a new layer, a new sort of element in me that was maybe hidden. And I'm like, oh, I see that part of me I see in you. And by focusing on you, I can kind of pull that out of myself. And that leads me to my next topic, which is, we've all heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. And I think that's both terrible advice and amazing advice. And here's how I would break it down. So if it's lying about your accomplishments and pretending like you're something that you're not, pretending like you've done something you've not, and like lying about your shit, right? Like the classic thing is at some of these masterminds and conferences, events that I go to, there'll be someone who will like rent this massive luxury yacht from someone for the day, right? And then we'll all go, so typically like this massive boat just goes out in San Diego Bay and just makes these like rounds in the bay. And that's it. It never goes out to open sea or anything like that. It just goes round and round and round, and then it docks again at the end of the day. And you rent it for maybe $20,000, and then you invite a bunch of people to pay $500 each to join for the day, and then you make a little bit of profit, and everybody gets to hang out on this boat, and there's some food and whatnot, and drinks because they all drank. And that's it. But then every single person, not every single, but most of the people in this boat is going around with their phones, being like, yeah, I'm just hanging out here on my yacht with my friends because I'm super rich, and I'll teach you how to be rich and all that stuff. Like that kind of fake it till you make it. Fuck that shit. All right, don't do that. Stay away from that shit. No, it's not. Nobody buys it other than losers. Those are not the people that you want to work with. No. But what is good, the kind of fake it till you make it that is great, is if you have issues with self-worth, if you feel like you're not good enough, if you feel like you're somehow flawed or broken, or who are you to, or kind of like playing small, and you're like, I'm not sure. Like these people are amazing, but I'm not like so good. Those kinds of self-worth issues, that you want to fake it till you make it, right? Just believe in yourself, like you are a young Elon Musk, right? Like, today he's the richest man in the world. I think he still is, right? Multi-billionaire and all that shit. But there was a time like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when he wasn't anything, but he had that like that belief in himself, right? He had that air of like going places of I have no idea how he was back then, honestly. But you get what I'm saying, is like, if you saw yourself as that person that you dream of becoming, that you want to become, with the accomplishments and everything else, how does that person feel about themselves? What is that person's self-worth, self-talk, belief in themselves, right? That you want to fake now, right? And when I say fake, I mean that you want to shut those voices down that says, well, I'm nothing and I haven't created, and who am I to be, all that stuff, right? Those voices you want to shut down. And like, it's true, you haven't built that shit yet, but that doesn't mean that you're not worthy. It doesn't mean that you're less than, right? You're not less than anybody else just because they have more money, right? Who cares? It's paper, right? It's just money. Who gives a fuck? That has nothing to do with your inherent worth as a human being. Nothing whatsoever. So start acting with that level of worth and respect for yourself that you really deserve. That you want to fake until it becomes real for you. Because that's a practice. It's a habit of you leaning into the worth of who you really are. Because the other shit is actually fake. You playing small, that's actually fake. You thinking that you're not worthy is actually fake. You thinking you're not good enough, or smart enough, or rich enough, or successful enough, or pretty enough, or thin enough, or thick enough, or muscular enough, like whatever it is, all that shit is fucking fake. Because that has nothing to do with who you are at your essence, at your core, at a soul level. So that shit is fake. And if it right now feels more real than the other shit, then you want to fake feeling the real shit until it becomes natural, until it becomes habitual for you. One of my favorite books that I've discovered recently is this woman, Florence Scovel Shinn. And her main book is The Game of Life and How to Play It. It's an amazing book. It's 100 years old. It's phenomenal. In there, she talks about making God your supply, right? God is your supply of money, right? Of money. But more importantly, more importantly, not just of money, but of self-worth. Make God your supply of self-worth. Don't make any of the outer stuff the source of your self-worth. Is this resonating? And Happy New Year. I got way too much. I will be honest, these are not real dollar bills. They're tiny and they're fake. So, but they're...
How appropriate for fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah, right. They are. Next time I'll do it with real dollar bills, $100 bills. These were part of my wife bought this thing for New Year's, this like little boo, and it was like filled with these little $100 bills. So we thought we'd keep them. I'll throw some in my shirt here, so we got like $100 bills all over. So now I see some yeses. All right, now I got problems with my. This is uncomfortable. Let's bring George on and chat with him.
Hey, am I on?
What's up, George? Good to see you, brother.
Hey, great
Hey, man.
to see you. So honored to be here. We are. I was going to say we're united by the love of Simplero, but I'll just say one thing. By the way, thank you everyone. Those of you who are here, I told my people that I was going to be here. Honored to be with Simplero and Calvin and Bryson and others on the team. And thank you all for showing up. So really grateful to see your names there. Can I just say a little bit? I mean, again, how we met. I was looking at I've been running a course, online course business since 2009, and then all that time I've been like using Google Drive and like uploading videos to YouTube Unlisted and all that stuff. And finally, one of my clients, actually it's been several over the years, like, George, I would love to refer more students to you, but I just can't stand the way that you're delivering your courses in terms of the technology. It's kind of like, it's not very professional. And so I said, okay, finally I have to go and look at something like Kajabi or Podia or others that are Teachable, Thinkific, all the ones that, a lot of people I've heard of. And one of my clients was selling a course that I was personally interested in, so I bought it. And the whole buying and onboarding process was so enjoyable that I'm like, which platform is this? I looked into it. Simplero. I think I had heard that before. Let me look at it further. And that's what happened. I started looking at it and like, let me make a detailed comparison between Simplero and Kajabi and Podia and all the others, or the ones that were mainly what my clients were recommending that I look at. And Simplero won, but besides the technical aspects that I love so much about it, I also want to say that when I went to Simplero's website, I instantly felt this different energy and vibe compared to like Kajabi or the others. And you can go yourself, all right, go to Simplero, go to the About page, and I want to just read to you. I feel like this is inspiring for all of us. Simplero, this is what the Simplero About page says, right? Simplero exists to raise the level of consciousness on the planet. This is a software company, right? This is not, Simplero exists to deliver courses raise the level. That's the bigger mission. Like, that's why I think the software exists, and that continues to say our mission is to create the greatest force for personal and spiritual growth the world has ever seen, so that collectively we can create a world we want to live in. So by helping people like you, like me, other coaches, course creators, solopreneurs, and business owners, by helping us transform other people's lives at scale, we're empowering humanity to solve our biggest challenges. And then it goes on from there. So I'm like, this is a different vibe. This is, and not only is there a more positive, uplifting, and bigger purpose behind all this, the software itself is awesome. Like, the more I use it, the more I love it. So I just want to say thank you, Calvin and Bryson and the team, for making this thing be so important for all of us who are trying to run a business. You're making it so much more possible, more effective. So that is not, they didn't pay me to say this, by the way. This is not a paid promotion. I'm just honestly, a fan of this product. I wanted
Thank
to.
you, George. That's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's real.
That.
It's real. Yeah, it's real. And then when I went to New York a couple months ago, I had the privilege of actually meeting up with Calvin. I actually even visited Calvin at his home. I sat right there, right next to you for a moment. We took a picture, and it was great. We had dinner together as well. So I could say a lot about. Well, should I just kind of riff off of what you said earlier?
Yeah, please do. Yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Let me just jump in here real quick, because like when I say that Simplero exists to raise the consciousness on the planet, that I'm not fucking around, right? Like, I mean that in all earnestness. It really came out of the realization for me that there's a famous quote by Einstein saying, we can't solve the problems at the same level of consciousness that we created them. Right? And there are plenty of problems in the world, or opportunities, or however you want to call it, challenges, right? There are plenty of room for improvement in the world at large. And we need a higher level, a higher order of thinking to solve it. And that comes through, doing your mental work, right? Questioning your thoughts and beliefs. It comes through you doing emotional healing work, where you uncover deeper layers in yourself so that you can rewire your subconscious, in getting closer to purpose, God, higher consciousness, whatever that is for you. And then channeling that through the vehicle of entrepreneurship, right? Because entrepreneurship is what solves the damn problems out there in the world. Also creates certain problems, but entrepreneurship is the greatest force for good in the world. And so when you put that together, that is how we solve all the challenges. And it is, I realize like I can't coach everybody individually to or to help them with their consciousness work, but I can create a platform that enables others to do that, and then make it easy for other people like yourself to reach more people. Right? So that is the mission.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I wanted to, earlier you were talking about this idea of fake it till you make it. I want to riff off of that a little bit because, I agree with what you said. There are sort of fake ways to do it or inauthentic ways of doing that. And there are also empowering ways of doing that. And I want to talk about two quick things here. One is fake it till you make it on a small day-to-day level, and then also the fakery sometimes of marketing and how we can do it differently. So on the day-to-day level, I think of fake it till you make it as like this. Don't trust your limiting thoughts, and don't trust your feelings that are making you spiral down. Mm-hmm. Now, so I think that I apply fake it to make it to like the hour by hour level of when I'm showing up to work. Like, for example, I was kind of nervous when I came onto this one. I could have trusted the nerves and go, oh, I'm going to play small and I'm not worth being on here. Or I could, just like you said, that's a limiting belief. I also know that I have a lot of gifts to give, and I have a presence that inspires some people. I'm going to lean into that side of things. I'm going to fake because I might not necessarily feel authentically powerful right now, but I know that that is a part of me, and I'm going to lean into that. So I'm faking my current feeling and leaning into my authentic power that is also a part of me. And guess what happens? That what you give attention to expands, right? So if we lean into the part of ourselves that is authentically powerful, that expands itself.
Exactly.
Another part, right?
Well, and oftentimes the other one feels so familiar, right? Because it's very habitual. And so that like recognizing what is just habitual and familiar versus what is authentic and real me. One of the things that I noticed, so I was talking to someone that I'm thinking about bringing on to head up marketing for Simplero, and started to see like some possibilities here in a different way, and I was really connecting with like, holy shit, like what if everything I was dreaming of actually was working out? What if it really fucking worked? How would that feel? And I recognized, oh my God, I'd actually feel like it feels a little uncomfortable. Like I'm used to like being sort of the small player in the marketplace. I'm used to like not that many people knowing about us. And there's something about like, okay, let's step onto the big stage where I was like, so I was like, oh shit, I need to like look at that, right? And so that's what I mean. Like that place for me of being that virtually like somewhat unknown has become a familiar place for me, but it's not authentic in that same way. Yeah. It's just habitual. It's just familiar, and it's not serving me, and it's not serving the world.
It doesn't speak to your potential, which is actually the bigger part of you. Mm-hmm. And it's like So, and another example is like, a lot of us have to write for part of our work, and I've always, honestly, for many years, I've struggled with writing. People don't believe it nowadays because I have like 5 books out there, but it's like, no, I still to this day, when it says on my calendar, write blog post, I still feel some level of trepidation, and like, I don't know, it's going to be a blank screen, and I'm just going to be, I'm not going to know what to say. It's part of, sort of like the background that I grew up in, coming to the States as an immigrant and kind of being bullied for my communication skills in the early ages. And so it's like having some trauma there, and the grading throughout the school of writing, and I just really hated having to do all-nighters for papers. So anyway, still now I have to, or I should say I get to write in my business, because that really does make it, I've noticed it makes an impact on other people. So when I show up to write, I also fake it till I make it, because I'm like, no, I don't feel like writing right now. No, I don't think I can say anything that's useful, helpful, delightful. but I'm going to fake that I do have something to say,
Mhm.
because I'm just going to stay here for the hour and I'm going to type as if I have something interesting to say to somebody.
Mhm.
And I usually picture a particular supportive client in my mind that's like, this person sees no wrong because they're so, they believe in me. And that person's belief in me helps me believe in myself. And then I type and I fake. So it's like, it's this kind of daily, hour by hour, leaning into our self-worth. Like you said, I would say self with an S, with a big S, right? Our higher self-worth. Like that's really the bigger part of us that allows me to create consistently. And those of you who follow my stuff know, George, you're super consistent. I've been consistently creating for years now, blogs, videos, etc. As a solopreneur, it's not easy because it's always easy for me to go, well, nobody really cares, or I don't have any team members breathing down my neck to write this. I'd have to do it on my own. I have to kind of motivate myself. So fake it till you make it. And then the other thing I wanted to mention
Well,
about,
so I need to just
yeah,
jump in and riff on that
yeah,
too, because like 1,000%, yes, right? Like the and that voice that comes up that says like, who are you and what do you have to like? Who wants to read this? And like, I probably don't have anything interesting to like. All that voice is like super fake, right? That is, you picked that up from somewhere and now you're just repeating it to yourself, and it's not even yours, right? It's like, but it becomes so habitual. There's another quote that I love. It's this quote from some Martha Graham, some dancer. She wrote it to some other dancer. I forget the names and what it is, but it goes like this, and it's amazing. I just pulled it up. It says, "There is a vitality, a life force, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And there's only one of you in all of time. This expression is unique, and if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It's not your business to determine how good it is, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is your business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. You do not even have to believe in yourself or your work. You have to keep open and aware directly to the urges that motivate you. Keep the channel open. No artist is pleased. There is no satisfaction, whatever, at any time. There's only a queer, divine dissatisfaction, a blessed unrest that keeps us marching and makes us more alive than the others." End quote.
love it. Oh, wow. I hope somebody will take that, find the quote, and comment below or share it below. Hi, Yasmin. um,
Yes.
yeah, but yeah, I want to also address this idea of marketing, and so many of us are here, and we use Simplero, interested in Simplero because obviously we need to grow our marketing, we need to improve on it, and I want to talk about how marketing can either be a means to an end, or it could be a worthwhile end in itself. I mean, when I realized this, it changed my relationship to marketing and to business, because up to then, I was actually very effective at selling on webinars, and I was send emails, make money, and it was all, that's really where you do your spiritual and true work, is when you're with your clients. That's where you really shine. And I was like, you know what? Does it have to be that way? I don't think so. I mean, what if marketing itself was part of my ministry? And I kind of feel like that's what Simplero is. Like whenever Simplero gets out there, people look at the website, they look at the values, and like they're feeling uplifted just by the marketing of Simplero.
That's the idea.
And it's
Yeah.
like, what about me? Am I just right? It's like, what about me? Am I just doing webinars and just to sell the thing, or can I see those marketing actions itself as ministry to the audience, whether or not they buy from me today? Like that was where I was getting tripped up. Like, oh no, I gotta sell people at the end of this webinar. It's got to be this. Like, but that puts me into this mode of grasping, and it's not the type of self that I really love showing up as. So I said, I'm going to give in a not overwhelming way. That was that. That's sort of like you have the spectrum. It's like you can give, and overwhelm people and never sell because you're afraid of somehow selling your product. But you can also be on the side. It's all about getting the sales. And so I found this kind of middle way to say, no, I'm here, if I'm doing a webinar or if I'm sending an email, or if I'm making a social media post, may this truly help the person reading or watching this, even if they never spend a dime with me. And by approaching it that way, from the heart creates a relationship with the audience that is truly loyal, true fans. And of course, when we have true fans and a loyal audience, then all we got to do is actually just whisper. And if the product is the right fit, obviously if there's product market fit, I'm offering something that they actually want and need, then I got to do is just whisper, and they actually sign up for it, they buy, because the trust is so much there. So I like to say basically that marketing is making friends at scale.
Oh, got it. Love it.
Most of the time. That's true. Yeah, you could sometimes you're polarizing, and that's okay, because you're bringing in the people who really believe with you, right? Marketing is also this kind of Venn diagram between exploring yourself publicly and your values and your beliefs and your skills publicly. You're exploring that, and you're exploring your voice publicly on the one hand. And on the other hand, marketing also serves humanity. And like I said, the people from us today, or even ever, we're still acting their day in their life. Like I've seen so much marketing come through. I mean, all of it. We all subscribe to so many email lists where sometimes the marketing is just, it makes us cringe, or it makes us feel badly. If we don't buy the thing, then we will feel badly. And that's like that doesn't help humanity. And it's like, if I can do this marketing of continuing to explore my voice and my values on the one hand publicly, explore my experiences, explore my skills, and on the other hand, in service to humanity, that slice, that sweet spot in the middle where it's like I am both exploring myself authentically and I'm serving people, that's kind of where the magic happens for me, of marketing. And it's like, yeah.
I like it, man. The idea that it'll always be the case that there are many, many more people who engage with your marketing than ever engage with your paid programs. So we want our marketing to impact people positively, right? That is as you were saying, that is our biggest ministry. And there's always going to be these concentric circles, like people who are sort of in the audience and people who are at this level and this level and this level, like closer and closer. But we are impacting so many people through our marketing that would never ever do business with us for a variety of reasons, and that's normal and that's how it's supposed to be. So absolutely, let's have a positive impact with our marketing.
Yeah. And like another really key aspect, right? Like if we're doing, so someone might be watching this and go, well, George, that all sounds very nice, but I need clients too. It's like, how do I make sales and get clients? And like what I always say to this is, the more, well, you probably have heard this idea of product market fit, but I like to call it aligned offers. Like the more your offer, your product or your service or program, event, retreat, whatever, course, whatever it is you're selling, the more your offer is aligned with your audience's buying patterns, the more you can whisper. And if there's trust there, they'll buy your version of it. It's like people go, oh, there are so many, for example, if I'm a coach, there's so many coaches out there. How can I possibly, break through all the noise or all the others that, how can I stand out? It's like, no, if someone has bought coaching before, or if someone has bought an online course about this, they're actually more likely to buy your version of coaching or an online course or a program than someone who has never bought coaching before.
100%, right? Yeah.
Right? Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. Like it's like getting people to hire their first coach or buy their first course is way harder than getting them to buy their second or 10th or 100th. Yeah.
And so it's like, if you can do the kind of marketing we're talking about, where you are exploring yourself publicly. I call it public journaling, in service to humanity. Yes, your own exploration of your voice and your experiences and your values actually serves others who are on a similar journey, or people who want to be on that journey, who are maybe too afraid or been too distracted to kind of join that journey. And so your public exploration in service to humanity creates an audience whom you can then talk to about what their wants and needs are, and then you can reframe or create your offer so that it matches with their needs. So I'm always telling my people, like, please, your audience, you are so lucky if you have, when I say audience, by the way, I mean anybody you can reach. Like, even if you have 100 Facebook friends, that's your audience right now. Most of you have more than 100 Facebook friends. I've seen your Facebook profile, right? Like, that is your audience right now. You just kind of start there, maybe. Or if you have 50 Instagram followers, great. That's your audience for now. Or if you don't use social media and you simply can email 30 people who are your friends and colleagues, that's your audience right now. And it's like, the more you can talk to your audience and go, I'm thinking about offering something in this arena. Have you ever bought anything like that? Or have you considered buying this kind of thing? Why did you consider buying that? Or why did you buy that? And what didn't work well about it? It's like, if we can find out the buying patterns of our audience, that is where we can really create and offer a program, product, service that matches their buying patterns. And then we don't have to shout as hard, because we're already talking about the stuff that they're thinking of buying. And I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs don't do the market research well enough, which then makes them have to shout and persuade so hard to get a few sales.
Right.
Right?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ask people, hey, what do you want? What do you want? Avoid, what do you hate about other products? How would you make it better? So they'll tell you, and
Yeah.
then you can just give them what they're asking for. And I don't know, like, we've all read books, right? And then, like, we read the same book again later, and then, like, all of a sudden we hear it. It hits differently, right? Or we read another book and it says the exact same thing that the first book said, but the second time we can hear it. And so, same thing with
Yes.
courses, same thing with coaching programs, right? We need to hear the same damn things over and over and over again. And then, like, one day it sticks, and then maybe it sticks for a while, and then we forget again, and we need to hear it again.
Yeah.
That's how it rolls.
It's like that old Zig Ziglar quote. When someone asked him, Zig, how often am I going to need to listen to your motivational tapes? It was some question like that, and then Zig Ziglar said, well, how often do you take a shower?
Yeah.
It's like motivation or inspiration or knowledge, learning is more like hygiene, and it's
Mhm.
less like you buy a table and now you have a table forever. No, you have to, because the stuff of life, culture, society, and just your own negative thoughts and your upbringing continually erodes away the
Right.
inspiration and the motivation and the knowledge that you have, and you have to keep on refreshing yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure. So we have time for questions as well.
Oh,
So
that's
raise your
great.
hand.
Yes,
Raise
please,
your
please.
hand. Anybody, if you have a question for me or George, and if not, George and I can just riff on this stuff. I wish we had
Hours.
more. We had more disagreements, but we'll have to
No, I mean, this is
we'll have
why
to
there's a
manufacture
kindred
some.
spirit. Yeah,
But
there's a
I
kindred
just
spirit
wanted to
here.
point something out too for people. Jeff, was that you raising a hand, by the way? Yeah, all right, let's get Jeff on. But while we're waiting
Sweet.
for Jeff, I just wanted to say a good lesson here, right? So George has been very good at, I just want to deconstruct that a little bit for people, right? You reached out to me, you DM'd me on Twitter, and we connected over, something that, I'm passionate about and that you noticed. And then you just, like, we started talking there a little bit, and you were like, hey, I'm in New York, like, would be fantastic if you have, like, time to meet up, and we made that happen. And then this thing, we discussed in the past having guests on, but we hadn't gotten around to it. And then you just DM'd me on Twitter again a week ago, and he's like, if you ever want to guest on the show, like, I'm down. I'm like, sure, let's So I just want to, appreciate you for just the natural, easy, and very effective, and also just very like nice. I don't know, nice is not the right word, but like the way that you have introduced yourself to me and kind of gotten into my orbit has just been very, very well
I
done.
call it. I have a word for this, Calvin.
Yes.
I call it net carrying.
Yeah.
Instead of networking. No, it's really real. Like when I saw you, I saw your YouTube videos first. I look at your Twitter. I'm like, this guy's so real. I mean, this guy. I just, whether or not I use this software or not, I just want to get to know him a bit. And I message you with sincerity. I'm like, because I might not use the software. And actually, I was, because like I'm the customer here, like, right, like you would have to convince me. I didn't have to convince you of anything, but I was sincerely wanting to connect. And from there, it was like it was great. So net caring is this, and then when I reached out about being on the show, I was actually trying to give you a break. I said, Calvin, if you ever need a break, man, if you ever need a break, you need to take some time off. Like if you want to keep the show going, I can just show up and do some Q&A or something. And then you were saying, you know what? No, I'll actually be there too. I'm like, oh my gosh, great. So, but did we have a hand raised?
Yeah. So, but the just to spin on like now, right? Like we're talking about doing a product together, which we will definitely do. Like now, you're getting exposure here from me, as well as you're giving me exposure to your audience, right? And so it's like that very natural way that you've just gone about it, which most people don't do. So I just wanted that first of all to shout out to you for that beautiful way that you've done that, and also as an inspiration for others of how you can get somewhere in that very natural way. So you need to teach a course on net carrying if you don't already.
Man. Yeah, I actually do have a course on net carrying. I'm actually redoing it completely this year with examples like this, and so yeah, I love talking about that stuff.
Perfect. All right, Jeff, what you got?
Oh, hi. It's always great coming on here. I'm a big Simplero user. I use it for all my marketing for my course. It's been great. And I'm building a member site, and it's wonderful. And it's been great for my business. Actually, the question I have may be out of context for this, but I've been hired by my old company that I sold to do marketing for them. And I have found that what I need to do is find business owners or people who can make the decision, and try to get their phone number or cell number, make the contact with them to make that connection. So it's been challenging because I've not done that before. Do you recommend? Is there somebody that you would hire to do that for you, or I'm kind of stuck on that one. Things have changed over the years with so many gatekeepers and things like that, trying to get through to people. And the problem I'm having is that I don't want to just walk in there like a salesman. I want to make, a contact with them, maybe either by a telephone or something. I can't find their information.
So the net carrying thing seems to be obvious. Like anybody in their brother is on social media today, right? So are they on Instagram? Find out what they care about, like reach out and connect to them over that, that type of thing. Or whatever platform they're on, right? Hey, I saw you're at the Lakers game, like, or whatever they do or something, but you try to connect with them over with a caring mentality out with something that they seem to be interested in. Exactly like George did. You need to buy George's course, and it needs to be paying me a commission. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, just kidding. But and the other thing, another like key thing, like key strategy is if you are hosting or they're hosting a podcast, that's a great way to get them on, right? Because if you're hosting a podcast and you're not saying, hey, I want to sell you something. No, you're saying, hey, I would love to feature you on my podcast. Nobody asks how many downloads you have. Barely anybody gives a shit about the downloads or who's watching, seeing it. It doesn't matter to them. They just like to be flattered and be like, hey, you're on my podcast. And then you just, before you record, you just talk a little bit about what you do. And then if you want them to hang on, you can say, hey, but when we're done, just hang on for 5 minutes. I just want to wrap up. So they don't just hang up and leave. but generally you want to do it super soft touch. So what you can do is before you just, you talk a little bit about, what you do and what you offer and why you're interested. And then during the conversation, you can kind of do these little invisible pitches where you just kind of casually, but it has to be super casual, mention like what you're doing. For example, like I would be saying, yeah, like this would be like in the small talk before, I'd be like, yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going out to founders board meeting next week, and then the driven mastermind afterwards with Perry Belcher. I'm really excited about that one. Actually, we're partnering with them, so they're going to be using Simplero for their mastermind to run the whole thing. So I'm very excited about that. And then yada, yada, yada. So I kind of weave that in there just like casually, right? So I'm not saying, look at us, right? But that's a great way to just get their ear. And now you can build rapport over 30 minutes. And now you have that connection, and it's so much easier to make. So then if they actually need what you have to sell, you basically don't have to do any selling.
Yeah, that's a fantastic idea. I go take me a little time to develop a podcast and stuff. I like it.
Yeah, George, what do you have? What do you think?
Oh yeah, I wasn't able to hear Jeff's voice, so but I kind of got the gist of what you're saying. As far as I know, we're trying to reach decision makers, maybe even people that are executives or people that are usually maybe harder to reach or busier people, right? I got a couple more ideas for you. One, this is quite a common idea, is if you haven't yet looked that person up on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram, look them up and see if you have any mutual connections. Okay, really, I mean, LinkedIn often is there's a mutual connection. Oh my gosh, we both know so and so. Obviously, then you would reach out to the middle person and say, hey, do you know so and so well enough to maybe make an introduction? Because if let's say that Calvin, I never reached out to Calvin. I was trying to reach out, and if I knew Bryson and Bryson knows Calvin, Calvin's much more going to pay attention. Just, say, oh yeah, Bryson says, hey, Calvin, you got to meet this George guy. Okay, great. Then, so that's one idea. And on Facebook, of course, you look that person up, you might have mutual friends. And on Instagram, you look there, if they have an account, look at who they're following. Because some of the people they're following, you actually might know and be able to reach out that way. So that's one. The second one is, I think this is kind of a cool idea, and I wish more people did this. Do they have a question? Do they likely have a question or issue, challenge that you can solve? Okay, that you can solve, and do they have some contribution, like some data to add? So, for example, let's say that you're a lead. Again, I couldn't hear Jeff's question. I don't know what Jeff does, but let's say that you're a leadership consultant and you're trying to reach executives, right? Maybe they have a particular leadership issue, like they are trying to work with certain personality types in their team, and it's really hard to work with that personality type, right? Then you could do a research project and say, hey, let's say I was leadership consultant, Calvin was a potential client. Hey, Calvin, I know we don't know each other, but I'm doing this research project to come up with the ideal framework to work with this type of team member. If a lot of us leaders deal with this, and I'm interviewing 10 different leaders to find out what is their what are the issue they're having with that, and what's one thing that's working thus far with it. Would you be interested in sharing a bit about your side of things? And if you are, I will share the research with you when I'm complete with that. And so then you're approaching these 10 people as a researcher, and not only it's sincere, because you're actually trying to find out how they're having this issue and what seems to be working and what's not working, right? And then you're gathering the data, you're putting it together, you're learning from it, and it actually might become a product at some point. But then you can then reach back out to these leaders as, hey, I've got this the result of the study, and I invite you to this webinar. If you can't join the webinar, you can watch it later or something like that. So anyway, that's a couple of ideas, and hopefully you'll find one of those actually useful.
Yeah, those are great, man. Those are great ideas. I'm like, yeah, we need to do that. All of this. So thank you, Jeff, for that question. That was fantastic. We got some really good stuff out of that. I was just about to say a different word there. we're not what is it called, a family friend to show, I suppose.
Yeah, explicit.
We're dropping,
There's an E
dropping
symbol on the podcast.
some bombs here and there. All right, cool. This is super fun. Thanks for joining today, George. I really appreciate it. And thanks to everybody for showing up. George, final thoughts.
Oh my
For you.
gosh.
What do you want to leave people with?
Okay. So the fact is, all of us can reach the success that we yearn for if we are willing to take action towards that success consistently. Back to the original quote from Calvin Coolidge, right? And I want to just say this, that middle path, that middle part where we're taking taking action consistently toward a success, I hope all of us will continually every day bring meaningfulness to that middle part, to that action. So for example, let's say I'm writing a blog post because that's part of my plan to grow an audience and reach the success that I want. Can the writing the blog post or the reaching out to the potential client be an act of love, to be an act of service, to be an act of practicing? Like if I'm writing a blog post, I'm practicing creativity. If I'm reaching out, I'm practicing graciousness. Like if we can bring more meaningfulness to the actions we do every day, then perhaps the middle part of our journey, which is actually the majority of it, right? Before we reach success or our vision, that's the majority of our journey, can actually be joyful. So I'll leave you all with that idea.
I love that. Yeah.
I mean,
And the middle part is really like the forever part, right? Because like,
yeah, exactly. Right.
What is success, right? And then you're like, all right, what's next? Until you're like, okay, I'm retired, I'm done, right? But then, it's the middle part is the forever part. And the phrase that I like to say is, you can achieve anything you want if you're willing to do whatever it takes on the inside and the outside.
Love it.
Right? It's the combination of doing, like becoming the person you need to become and doing the work that you need to do for that, the inner game stuff, the mindset and purpose and healing and all that stuff, right? And you can't get lost in that world and never take any action in the outside world. You need both.
Love it.
Cool. All right, guys, this is super fun. We should do this again. How about next week? I think I'm free Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. If you all want to do this again, it could be fun. I appreciate you all very much for showing up. Thank you, Jeff, for your question. Again, anytime we do this, feel free to just raise your hand at any point. There's this button in Zoom, and we can.
And I just want to quickly thank those in the Zoom, in the Facebook Live comments: Patty, Ilana, Sue, Lisa, and others. I'm sure I'm missing, but thank you so much for Tanya. Thanks, Trish, and others. So thank you so much for showing up there, Nancy, as well.
Nice, love it. Cool. All right, that was a good call. All right, beautiful people. I'll see you all next week. Thanks again for showing up and making my day and making all of our